Do you really need a root canal? And how can you know that you need one? What are the signs? Now, I know what you're thinking. Root canal, that sounds intense. And while it is a significant dental procedure, often it's the only way to save a tooth once it's been so badly damaged or even infected. The key is knowing when you might actually need one. Ignoring the signs can lead to much bigger problems like pain, tooth loss, or even worse, a spreading infection. Often the first sign would be pain, and that's pain if, it has changed recently and now it's becoming more of a lingering pain. It's there all the time. It's kind of that dull, throbby, achy pain, and it can be worse whenever you bite down. Sometimes also it'll radiate to the side of your face, so it can feel like it's your jaw, your ear, or even up here that could be sore. So why does this happen? Well, a root canal is needed when the pulp that's inside your tooth, that's the soft tissue that contains all the nerves and blood vessels, if that becomes inflamed or infected. This can be because of tooth decay, there's a crack in the tooth, there's a lot of gum disease around the tooth, or maybe you've had the same tooth filled repeatedly. When those nerves are irritated, they send out very strong pain signals. If you're experiencing pain that wakes you up at night, or pain that over-the-counter pain medication just won't get rid of, then that's a major red flag and you probably need a root canal. Also, if you have a tooth that starts to look significantly darker than the neighboring teeth, it might look more grey, more yellowish brown, or kind of even black. This can be a sign of an internal trouble. Again, with the pulp, the nerves of the teeth. This isn't just your usual staining from something like coffee or tea. This is a change coming from within the tooth. This discoloration happens because of trauma or something that's happened to the nerve. This discoloration often happens when the pulp inside the tooth has died or is dying due to infection or trauma. The breakdown of blood cells within the tooth cause the dentine to become stained. The dentine is the layer under your enamel. So this is happening from the inside out. So if one of your pearly whites is starting to look not so pearly, then it might be time for a dental visit. Another sign that can be a little bit alarming is swelling in the gums around a particular tooth, or if there's a little pimple beside the tooth. This might be a small little persistent pimple that might swell up, go away, come back again, and repeat that cycle many times. If the gum tissue around one tooth is tender, red, and swollen, it could indicate an infection that has spread from the tooth's pulp into the surrounding bone. Sometimes this infection can create a little drainage pathway to the surface of your gums, forming what looks like a pimple. This is called a dental fistula or sinus. This pimple might even ooze pus or have a bad taste that's associated with it. It might come and go, but it's a clear sign that your body is trying to fight off an infection that's coming from the root of the tooth. And it probably doesn't hurt much, but still there's infection that's happening around that tooth. And that fistula is a direct connection to it. This is something that needs to be addressed by a dentist. Even if you try and pop it like a regular pimple, it probably will come back again. Another sign is pain whenever you bite down, or maybe the tooth feels tender or maybe even slightly loose. If a specific tooth is consistently tender whenever you tap on it or press on it, then that's a surefire sign that there's some inflammation or maybe even infection around the roots of the tooth. This is caused by the ligaments that are around the tooth getting inflamed because of the presence of infection from the tooth. If this is left for long term and in more advanced cases, this can start to cause bone loss around the tooth, and that's what can make it start to feel a little bit loose. While a loose tooth can have other explanations, if you have it in combination with the other signs that I've talked about, then it's probably a sign that you need a root canal. So we've heard what all the signs of a root canal are, but what actually is it? To describe this briefly, a root canal, during the procedure, the dentist will numb the tooth on the area. They will make a small opening in the tooth to get into the space where the pulp is inside the tooth, remove the pulp that is inflamed and infected. Then they'll want to clean and disinfect and shape the canals of the tooth so they're ready to be filled. Then, finally, they fill and seal all of the canals inside the tooth so no more bacteria can get back in and reinfect the space. Afterwards, the tooth will typically need a crown in order to help protect it, or some kind of stronger restoration than just a filling to protect it and let it function as it was before. The goal here with this type of treatment is to remove the source of the infection, and in this case that's the pulp tissue that's inside the tooth. And despite its reputation and bad name, modern root canals are actually quite quick, and usually performed with little discomfort, kind of similar to a filling. So there you have it. That's the 4 signs that you might need a root canal. That would be persistent pain, tooth discoloration, a pimple beside your tooth, and pain on biting or a loose tooth.